G'day, it's Mark and welcome back to the channel. And in this episode in our Auto History series, we look at the CL Chrysler Valiant and Charger. The CL Valiant and Charger was produced at Tonsley Park in South Australia from November 1976 to October 1978. The car was the first major restyle of the original VH body style that had been released in 1971. Due to lacklustre sales, Chrysler Australia had insufficient funds to reinvest into major tooling updates. And as a result, the facelifts for the VH to VJ and VK were relatively minor. See my episodes on those models if you'd like to learn more. The CL was also built in South Africa by Sigma and was marketed as the Chrysler SE. The CL was the 12th Australian Valiant model. The Chrysler CL passenger car range comprised the 4-door sedan, the 5-door station wagon, the 2-door coupe, a utility, and also, for the first time, a panel van. The model lineup included the Chrysler Valiant sedan, the Chrysler Valiant wagon, the Chrysler Regal sedan, the Chrysler Regal wagon, the Chrysler Regal SE sedan, and the Chrysler Charger 770 coupe. In addition, there was a Chrysler Valiant utility and Chrysler Valiant panel van. Regal and Charger models were not designated as Valiants. The new design featured 4 round headlights, a new nose cone, a new grille, as well as new bonnets. And there were also new rear panels, including the boot lid, the lower panel and the quarter panel for the sedans. A panel van body style, as I mentioned, was added for the first time in April 1977. You can see in the case of the Regal models, the front styling was heavily influenced by the US Chrysler full-size cars. Engine choices included the 245 4-litre Hemi 6, the 265 4.3-litre Hemi 6, and the 318 5.2-litre V8. In South Africa, the cars featured the 225 cubic inch or 3.7-litre slant 6. Dimensions were overall length for a sedan 195.9 inches or 4,976 millimetres. Wheelbase on the sedan 111 inches or 2,819 millimetres. That also applied to the other models, including the wagon. The Charger had a 105-inch wheelbase or 2,667 millimetres. Width for all models was 74.2 inches or 1,885 millimetres. And height on the sedan was 55.4 inches or 1,404 millimetres. Curb weight for a sedan was 3,172 pounds or 1,439 kilograms. That was for the standard sedan. Obviously with the more up-spec models or V8s, these were heavier. Depending upon the models, the cars had either a 3 or 4-speed manual gearbox or the Borg-Warner Type 35 automatic. The sole transmission that was offered for the 318 V8 was the A727 Torque Flight. In April 1978, Chrysler added their computer-controlled electronic lean burn, or ELB system, and that had been developed in the USA as part of the company's NASA involvement and adapted by a small group of Australian engineers to the Hemi 6-cylinder engines, and it had already been used successfully on the V8. At the same time, sedans and wagons also received a suspension upgrade, which was known as the handling package, but was not applied to the Charger, surprisingly enough. Maybe because of the shorter wheelbase, it already had superior handling. The revised handling was in response to Holden's radial tuned suspension, which had transformed the car from quite a wallowy understeering vehicle into quite a fine handler. Ford also responded with its XC update range in 1978, with revised suspension, using the famous witch's hat ad with Alan Moffat and other race car drivers, and Chrysler responded with this handling upgrade as well. Certainly, you'd have to congratulate Peter Hannenberger, who was the engineer responsible for radial-tuned suspension, a designation that had been taken from Pontiac, who also had radial-tuned suspension and even the same badges as fitted to the Holden cars. But what it effectively did was it raised the standard for the average Australian family car in terms of the handling capabilities. Funnily enough, prior to the upgrade of the Chrysler suspension, the local Chrysler team had approached the parent company to say that we needed to upgrade the suspension of the Valiant to improve the handling. And so the Americans said, look, no problem at all. We can actually fix that. Don't worry about it. So a CL was actually shipped over to America. The Americans tested it and sent it back without any changes whatsoever, saying it was the best handling big Chrysler they had ever driven. Clearly that wasn't good enough for what we needed in Australia. Now, as I mentioned, the ELB, or electronic lean burn system, was also fitted at CL to the 318 V8, and it was claimed that it delivered fuel savings of up to 15%. As I mentioned in previous episodes, Chrysler had toyed with using the Plymouth Volare or the Dodge Aspen as replacements for the Valiant body style, the Australian body style, but this was deemed as not appropriate for our market. Another one of the upgrades for CL was the relocation of the fuel filler neck. This had been in the number plate before and had created a lot of fuel refilling problems in terms of overflow and splashback. And so the filler neck was raised above the rear bumper between the tail lights. Managing Director of Chrysler Australia, Ian Webber, had to virtually beg the US, the Chrysler president, to allocate enough money for the much-needed restyle. And he claimed that it was a very unpleasant experience to try and convince him to allocate a small budget. And, you know, even though the Chrysler US MD knew how bad the situation was in Australia, he also was dealing with a much worse situation in the United States. The release of a Chrysler panel van was quite curious because really the panel van craze, which was really in its heyday, I guess, back in sort of, you know, HQ, HJ sort of time frame, or XA or XB time frame, that was really starting to wane quite dramatically in terms of a trendy market segment. And Chrysler didn't have an entrant at this point, apart from specifically designed panel vans for police duties, but they weren't really, that was more of a modified factory vehicle rather than a factory-produced package. But it was quite unusual that Chrysler decided to release a panel van, you know, given the financial constraints that they had, and also the fact that the market had really sort of already passed on. And even though there was still a market for tradespeople and more, you know, I guess workhorse duties for a panel van, the sort of trendy sort of getaway machines like the Sandman or the Sundowner, those were really waning in terms of sales. So the decision to add a Chrysler panel van was very much last minute. There was no real money for it, and the guys in the engineering and design department just had to get it completed ASAP for next to no cost, so that's what they did. So the Chrysler van appeared in April 1977, as I say, well after the craze had really peaked. Some of the options for the panel van were the Sports Pack and also the Drifter Pack. Certainly the Drifter is very much a collectible vehicle to this day, as is the Drifter Ute. The Utes maintained reasonably good sales over the life of the Chrysler product, certainly nothing like the Holdens or the Fords, but you know, they were certainly contributing a decent amount of volume to Chrysler Australia. Another change was the release of the Regal SE, and this replaced the long wheelbase Chrysler by Chrysler. And the Regal SE was very nicely appointed, particularly on the interior, with either a leather interior, buttoned leather interior, or a cloth, very much in the style or in keeping with the American luxury Chryslers. The Regal SE came with 318 V8, automatic transmission, power steering, air conditioning and power windows. It also had quartz high beam headlights, colour-coded wheel covers, the option of sports wheels, and also a vinyl roof. Quartz clock was also included, a roof console with map reading lights, and as I mentioned before, the cloth or the leather upholstery with, a suitably appointed wood grain instrument panel. There's also the announcement of a limited edition 400 units Chrysler LeBaron, which was a luxury sedan that featured silver metallic paint, a silver vinyl roof, alloy road wheels, steel radial tyres, laminated windscreen, tinted side and rear glass, cloth upholstery, plus the handling package, and ELB if specified with a 318 V8. And the only option was the 265 Hemi with no ELB at that point in time. During 1978, Chrysler also achieved a milestone, Chrysler Australia, with the production of the 500,000th Valiant. The CL Charger also came in for a really nice update at this model. The 770 was the only model available. All the other models before, like the XL and the base Charger, were dropped. The cars featured a new honeycomb-style grille. They also featured the quad headlights, new tail lights, and they're actually a very nice-looking car. So in August 1976, the CL Charger was released, and as I said, the exterior upgrades were quite extensive, really, considering the relatively low volume that the car had. Mechanically, the 215 engine, the six-cylinder, was dropped, and so now there were higher compression versions of the 245 and the 265 being made available, or the optional 318 V8. Also, as per the Drifter van and the Drifter Ute, there was also a Drifter Special Edition Charger, and that had the 318 V8, and you could actually get a 4-speed manual gearbox with that. Had the bumper overriders, a radio, and special Boca Raton cloth trim. That was priced at $7,764. There are only 3 colours available: white, yellow, or orange. The police still used Valiants and Chargers. In fact, I remember quite vividly a scene as a kid many years ago, basically when the cars were new, going up to the top of my street, and on the highway there were 3 police cars pulled over on the side of the road, and you had the highway patrol officers in their leather outfits and their sunglasses. There was an XC351 hardtop police car, which is pretty cool. There was actually a Tirana hatchback police car, which I've never ever seen one of those before or since. And there was a CL Charger police car and 3 coupes, and for whatever reason these guys had pulled over, whether they were doing an evaluation or not, I'm not quite sure. There was a police training ground up in, I think it was Pymble or St Ives, up on the North Shore. Whether they were reviewing those cars back to back and they were on their way back, I don't really know. But I went up there, and as a kid I thought, wow, those things look cool. And I thought, gee, maybe I should do that as a job when I'm older. The last of the CL Chargers rolled off the Tonsley Park assembly line in October 1978. And I guess with the end of that model, it really saw the demise of an extremely significant car for Chrysler Australia, which, when you go back to the VH time frame, was actually outselling the sedans, and it really had become a very iconic vehicle in Australia. But by this time in the later 70s, all those two-door coupes were really struggling. It's also worth mentioning that CL was the last Australian Valiant series to be assembled by Todd Motors in New Zealand. And the only models that were offered at that point were the Regal and the Regal SE. And the Regal SE was actually the first car to be assembled in New Zealand with air conditioning as standard. In South Africa in 1978, the CL Regal was introduced for local assembly, and the cars had, as I mentioned before, the 225 slant 6 engine, which produced 120 kilowatts or 161 horsepower. And in spite of the engine's impressive charger power name, it only had a top speed of around 87 miles an hour or 140 kilometres per hour. So the performance came in for some criticism. Fuel economy and brakes did receive high marks, and the interior and the suspension had some improvements that were made in Detroit prior to the local arm Sigma finishing the final development for South Africa. In terms of overall production, there were 17,227 CL sedans built, and that comprised 9,890 of the base sedan, 5,916 Regal sedans, and 1,421 Regal SE sedans. There were 7,129 wagons built, and that comprised 5,635 of the standard station wagon and 1,494 of the Regal wagons. There were 4,534 utilities built, and there were 1,899 panel vans. Although there is some conjecture that there were actually 1,959. I'll leave that up to you guys to debate. Plus, there were 1,823 chargers. So the total production for CL was 32,672. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode on the CL Chrysler Valiant and Charger. Please do give the episode a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button as well and the hype button, because that helps the channel. And who knows, with all this AI content these days, if you want to see proper content, make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button, because it gets the views up and it means more enthusiasts see the channel. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.